Hi, I'm David, and I'm here for a public service announcement about the Nissan 240SX, and I'm here to let you know that don't put it on Pimp My Ride! Well, we're here, the most requested Pimp My Ride episode so far, and probably the most relatable. And the 240SX, a car that we all have common in our heart for the most part, including the one that I have in my garage right now. It's a great car, and it's also a nightmare. At the same time, if there was no other episode to represent how we feel about Pimp My Ride, it is the Nissan 240SX episode. It has so many things in common that we all do. It likes Need for Speed Underground. It likes the 240SX. And one other thing that I forget, that it's actually a coupe instead of the hatch. For all of these years, I could have sworn it was a hatch, but it's a coupe. The lucky contestant, I guess you could say, of this episode has a 240SX S13 coupe. And the premise of this episode is they take Need for Speed Underground 2, design the car inside it, and then recreate it in real life for this lucky guy. Even though it's a corny idea, I have to admit, I use video games to come up with ideas in my head for project cars on this YouTube channel. And including my own blue S13 was, quote, designed in Forza Horizon. And here's the rendering of that back before I started on the car, before I thought it was gonna be an absolute nightmare. Exhibit, once again, goes, I'm an adrenaline junkie, and uses a pink Honda Civic with a body kit to represent how hardcore he is.
And when I want to rush, I drive fast cars, because I'm X to the Z exhibit.
The reason I said that this episode in particular is relatable is I think a lot of us do use video games in order to create our dream car and maybe one day say, this is how it's gonna be. Customization in video games nowadays is a good way to kind of come up with an idea before spending all that money, especially if you can't draw to create a concept. This 240 has a lot of the same problems that I dealt with. Its seat is mounted a little too high, and to fix that problem, you have to either make or find the right seat rails, but a lot of the times on the driver's side out of a 240SX, it sits a little too high, so then you usually have to make a modification. That goes with Sparcos, Recaros, etc. Status seats in my car sit a little high, but I'm an average height guy, so it really doesn't matter. So for a tall person, yeah, it is a problem. One of the best parts of the episode is when Exhibit sees that he has a post-it note that says, how fast is he going with the tachometer?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
And this is a very common problem in the 240SX for the speedo to go out, especially later when you're doing an engine swap to say an SR20, but this still has the stock KA in it, and it hasn't been touched at all, and it's pretty bad. He even has his radiator and radiator fans inside of the car, not installed.
What the hell is this?
That's my radiator and fan that I need to install.
Duct tapes the body kit. He only has 2 wheels for the thing. It just goes on and on that this kid put so much time and money into this 240 and he's just struggling. And we've all been there. And the 240 community really accepts this. I mean, the 240 community in general has a lot of mismatched colors, lots of bumper zip ties on there. It's a stereotype, but it's just funny how even over 10 years ago, it was still kind of the stereotype. But going into it, they bring it to West Coast Customs, and every single thing that they mentioned to do this car made me have this one face. Why? Why do that to my child? And then it kind of resulted in a, no. Here's the thing though. I've noticed a trend in Pimp My Ride. The entire exterior is usually where things go wrong, but at the same time, their trunks are always very well done with Mad Mike. The trunk is extremely well done. The amps, the speakers, the color scheme, it all goes pretty well together, and it shows they know what they're doing. But then when it comes to the outside, I think the biggest offender is not the hood, which is horrible, not the body kit, which is also atrocious and heinous, but the vinyl kind of decals they put on the car. They look cheap, and they say, we can use computer software to create this Microsoft Paint looking vinyl, and it comes out. I'm gonna lift this up for a second and so I can grab this piece of paper. Imagine yourself as this piece of paper. Now, when they decide to do something to the car and it makes you cringe, I slowly start crumpling up like this piece of paper. And then by the end of the episode, I'm out of energy, I'm out of empathy, I'm out of everything. Next, one of my favorite things is when Exhibit points out a flaw in their security system that they mention. They got him a detachable steering wheel with a hub. Now, that's very common nowadays. It's still very popular. Now, he goes, now look, nobody can try and steal your car because you can take your steering wheel with you. Now, they have no wheel. And then Exhibit points out the very thing I always think about. He goes, well, what if they have one of those and they can just take it anyway?
What if they have one of these?
A big weakness of this build in particular is the interior. It legitimately looks like seat covers. Legitimately looks like a tinfoil green slime, Nickelodeon slime seat cover thing that just doesn't look good. It has ruffles all over it. It doesn't look like legitimate leather. And the Xboxes stacked on top of each other.
Dog, not one, not two, but 3 Xboxes, dog.
3 Xboxes.
Doesn't really seem in place because a 240SX backseat is very tight. I will give it, once again, to the trunk. They have 3 monitors for each Xbox, so having multiple game console makes sense, so 3 people could play theoretically. So you guys like want to play Need for Speed with me? I don't know, maybe that is cool. Maybe I've thought all wrong about this. The body kit, going back to it, I feel like it's like a little too long. It kind of hangs out like a beak, and the hood is probably the worst offender when it comes to the body, even though the red spoiler is so bad. They tried to do like the old spoiler that's kind of resembles the Hijacker Civic in the first Fast and Furious, and if it was green, it wouldn't be so bad, but the fact that he did the red wheels with the red wing was just bad. This is also one of the only episodes by memory that they even touch the engine, which touching the engine is being a little generous.
Oh my goodness.
JCW hooked you up with an engine dress-up kit, man.
They got a dress-up kit for it, but the dress-up kit completely looks like a mess. Like, the cold air intake has this weird mesh on it, or like plastic thing, which I feel like would just melt under the heat of the engine, especially a KA. The rest just has the fuel lines all over the place. It does not look good. Once again, polished turd. It doesn't look like they put any brakes on it. It looks like they just threw everything together once again. I did notice another common thing between every episode. If the contestant / winner of the Pimp My Ride contest, whatever it was, how you got signed up, they always try to bring in the girlfriend to say one particular line, which is kind of relatable to a lot of car couples today.
That spends more time on that Nissan than he does on his girlfriend. He spends so much more money on Sylvia than me.
Always have the girlfriend say, he spends more money on that car more than me. It's like, well, yeah. A lot of the times a car guy is guilty of spending so much money into their project car, even if it looks like a pile of junk, because they love it. Now, is it the same type of love as loving a woman? No, because this isn't Strange Addictions. Like that one guy who had a relationship with this car. I don't know how we got on this tangent. I'm sorry. He doesn't pay enough attention to me because he loves cars, and I just don't get why cars are like such a big hobby. Well, why do you like makeup? We don't get it. So it's fine. I'm not going into Sephora and buying you a $400 makeup kit. I'd rather have a piece of shit body kit on my car. One thing that I've learned over the years of doing, say, car reviews is if there's a car that has harnesses and there's no roll bar / roll cage, no anything, and they mount them to the floor, I know I should not put those on. In case something were to happen, that could snap your neck or hurt your spine. So once again, I'm gonna remind everybody, do not have harnesses in your car if you have nothing to mount them to, like a roll bar. Now, this episode is also guilty of this just to make the seats look cool. I cannot tell you the amount of times people buy harnesses with nothing to mount them to, and Pimp My Ride has them over the cheap seat covers, which makes it look even worse.
What we did is we got you 2 seats. And to protect you, we got you some racing seatbelts, dog.
And I can take Irene out now.
That's just another thing that shows that they were just trying to get the car done for the TV show for the majority of the audience that didn't know a lot about cars. And I was 14 when this episode came out, so I wouldn't have known that, you know? I wouldn't have known about the harnesses, or I wouldn't have known that a pillar pod gauge had AFRs and oil pressure and boost and all that stuff. I knew nothing about that when I was younger. And now I come to think of it, I was their target audience on MTV. So, dang, I was played and I just realized. Next is his pillar pods. One isn't even a gauge, it's a clock.
Your clock and a voltmeter.
Remember you had the post-it notes up there to tell how fast you was going.
Just to prove they don't turbo it or anything. It's a clock and a voltage meter, which voltage meter can be handy, but a clock in the pillar pod, I can just look at my radio, I think we'll be okay. Do I think the 240SX is the worst car that Pimp My Ride ever did? Surprisingly not. I still think the Eclipse is the most atrocious one in the interior. So now we've done the Eclipse, we've done the Galant, and now the 240SX. I wanna know what you guys wanna see. And also I'm gonna pass the question off to you. Out of the 3 we've done, which one do you think has been the worst? And what do you wanna see next? Also, I know this is a weird time to say, but I have a big question for you guys. And that is, I'm noticing a trend on my YouTube channel. Don't worry, this isn't a pity party about views. And I've also noticed that sometimes you guys just like me doing stuff like this and talking about stuff in the car world. Like for example, when I did the new Camaro video, was a success. Used to do the weekly show more often, was a success. So if you want me to do more videos, more intimate like this, where we kind of just chill, talk about cars, talk about fun shows and movies, please let me know. I really enjoy making these, and let me know what other kinds of episodes you would like to see, and I will deliver, and I promise. For example, do you want me to talk about how Ford made the new Mach 1 concept an SUV? As you can tell, I'm super happy about it. And also, finally, the Type R and NSX review. So those are coming as well. Thank you all so much for sticking around, watching That Dude in Blue, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Hey, you, want clean wheels? Hey, use this. Spray on. Let sit for 45 seconds and turn purple. Spray again with water. Clean wheels. Make sure to check out www.pattersoncarcare.com. Made by car dudes, for car dudes.